Hello everybody and welcome to Total Annihilation Replays. Today I am bringing you Game 2 of the Stagma vs. Nick Eastside Westside adventure. So if you haven't checked out the first game, it should be the video before this one. So make sure you head back there and check it out so you can know the whole story as we move into Game 2 here. So, same setup here. We got Stagma wearing the blue and we got Nick wearing the orange. Nick top left here this time, and then Stagma down here to the right. So if you remember in the last game, what happened here is Nick introduced his amazing new hovercraft overwhelm strategy. And so it just completely overran Stag with hovercraft power. So and basically this game has happened on the same day, and this is an immediate, like, give me a rematch kind of thing. It's that good old-fashioned competitive spirit here. So Stag most likely asked for the rematch here. Nick more than happy to oblige, as he is a true gamer. And so you can see very similar starts from both of them. Since we saw this last time, I'll go ahead and I'll speed it up just a little bit as we get going. You'll see that they're both going out. Using K-Bots to pick up, Stag going for this first big wreck. Nick using his commander to grab this 975. You can see timing it just perfectly here. It looks like he's going to run. He's going to excess very little of that. Fills up his bar. Well done. Very smooth. So Stag moving along. He's grabbing another 500 right here. And you can see just pushing out cons. Now Stag pushed up 2 missile towers. Nick seems pretty confident that Stag isn't going to go air here. He has no missile towers. So this will slow him down a little bit. Although Nick is still on 3 wins, whereas Stag is at 4. You can see Nick throwing down another wind here. Being the god of winds that he is, I'm sure we will see plenty of these coming out. So, Stag going fast advance. Again, that's to be pretty much expected. Now, in this version of ProTA, the game clock is right up here, and this is, you can see we're just a little over 2-3 minutes. Now, Stag is out of metal. And I don't know if he has anything reclaiming right now. There we go. So he picked up another big one. Nick working on metal storage. So yeah, Stag's going advanced even faster than he did last time, I want to say. And then Stag also moving into air. So not too many wins right now. Just still on the 4. If he was to try to push a con out of this, he would probably find that he is really short on energy. Nick 6 wins here, doing a good job just picking up all that. You see he's got his metal storage boys working, and he's working on his own advanced right here. Still several minutes behind. Remember, Stag was done right around 3 minutes or so, so Nick's a full minute behind on the advanced at this point. It's not going to be a significant difference, although you can see Nick actually has more cons. Because his commander has been busy pushing out construction units, whereas Stag went to advance. But this is, I think, the reason why Stag went advance. He knew that build power is a big deal, so he's focusing on the Farks this time. I think that's a good call. See, he's got his wind production going on down here, so that'll help him stay stable in the E department. You can see Nick is ahead by about 10,000 in the energy department right now, but behind on the metal, it's not like too bad because it's basically one building's worth. Grab one of these and next thing you know, your metal shoots up. So Nick's got more storage as well, meaning he's going to be able to go and grab these big guys. You can see he's already getting this nice 8,000 wreck right here from this big building. Crossing the other side, much the same from Stagma here. He's got his air cons out already, going to grab more metal and fill up those metal storages. He's already maxed out right now. So it's Nick, actually, who's got the space for something like air reclaiming. So one advanced con out from Stag. Nick's working on his 4th right now, 5th, actually. So because he had a little more energy in the tank, he was able to get those cons out faster. So Stag getting his cloakable fusion down. He doesn't want to have an early fusion that's easy to be bombed. If I had to guess, that was the reasoning behind it here. Still no hovercraft being thrown down. Again, you can see Nick just really focusing on getting lots of advanced cons out. Farks might be a better idea. Going to cap with Mohos there. Stag just reclaiming over on Nick's side of the map. Although really, when you look at this map, yeah, it's Eastside Westside and the river is the dividing factor. But because Nick is playing hovers the way he's playing, that really this map is being divided kind of, right down right down the middle here is kind of what you would expect. But, you know, really with him being positioned a little more to the right, it's almost going to play this way, where they'll divide it this way. You'd expect them to be on both sides of the river. Nick capping the metal extractors where Stag is not. Stag is focusing a little bit more on reclaim. This is nice to get your income going, even if you don't have, even if you still have buildings to reclaim. I like that, because sometimes, you know, you forget to do a little reclaiming. Stag's fusion, you see he's got all these Farks now on this fusion. So plenty of wins to produce that, plenty of metal on the bank. And so, and you can see he's already started another one. What you can see is these ones, they finish that and then they immediately move over. So he started that with this and then he just shift click. So these Farks I think are a really good idea. See how fast they're moving over, really moving that, getting that build power going, where you can see if these were Farks, they would already be in position. But as it stands, they just move quite a bit slower. So I am surprised to see that he's not, since he's using these primarily for assisting, that he's not going a little bit more Farks. So Eagle, that's the radar guy. We can slow things down a little bit. Now that we've kind of seen how things have started, we can take a look at our resources. We'll see the right, Nick's at 70, Stag at 80. Metal bars are just about the same, although I think Nick has more in storage. That well, no, he has more space in storage, and therefore more in storage now. So he's a little bit behind on the reclaiming. Stag already big hawks. And none from Nick. So Nick's, again, just about a minute and a half behind on Stag's build right here, but still no hovercraft from Stag. So, and he's probably anticipating it at this point. Again, he's kind of walling these off. That's an interesting choice considering he knew how Nick attacked him last time. Missile tower shooting down air cons that are coming in to steal the metal. This is nice. You can't get a con up here to build the radar, so he just sends up this Eagle. And I think we can actually see them on the radar. Yeah, you can see right there. That radar just really comes in handy. So that's a cool move, actually. I really like that. Yeah, so it seems like Stag's adaptation here was focused more on Farks as far as build power and get more Hawks sooner. So Nick already has plenty of anti-air kind of off here to the left where his resources are located, although less here. You can see he's already got some Hawks to defend himself. Nick going right into the swatters, it's almost like he's expecting that these guys are going to need to be shooting down Hawks. Let's see, there we go. So yeah, he's got a fighter out trying to hunt down these cons, but the, yep, he's just patrolling them. They're set to hold position. That's why they're not pursuing the air cons. And by getting these missile towers up, the way Nick's hooking those, he's kind of protecting these for himself for a little bit later. So that'll come in handy. Stag sitting on about a dozen of those Hawks right now, maybe 15. So more than Nick's half dozen. But again, with Nick's missile tower presence, Stag's not going to be able to attack too much with that. And he's not really using... yeah, Nick's not using air cons to reclaim, so the Hawks aren't going to have anything to hunt. Looks like Nick's got these on patrol, so he's planning on having them pick up metal as he needs it. Part of the reason why Stag's been able to collect more metal is he's been able to spend it. Again, we can see he's already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cloakable fusions here. Whereas Nick, 1, 2, working on a third. So that's the build power, that's the speed of the Farks coming in there, and Stag really focusing in on cranking economy. And that might be his call here. Is like, you know, I know Nick is going to go big time hover again, and Nick needs shoot all on. This radar tower is just sitting there. So he figures, okay, well, as long as I get a massive economy, which he just has right now. Let's see what Nick said. Although he didn't cap, again, he's not really capping these the same way Nick is. So Nick might be actually... Let's see, we're showing... Yeah, so Stag's at 168 to Nick's 140. So Nick's not as far behind, and there's still plenty of reclaim. So resource-wise, you could still say it's anybody's. This is... Come on, Nick. You know, F11 is typically reserved for team games. In a game like this, where you're really busy and it's tough to actually hit enter and type plus shoot all, just tag your F11. That would have destroyed these radars. Stag would have, he can just, because this advanced radar is sitting right in the middle of it, he knows he's the size of Nick's forces. Fighters taking out Stag's reclaiming guys, although they did a pretty good job down here. Here we got Farks from Nick. They're piling up. Some Zeus. We got the Hawks. Multiple Hawk labs going down. Stag on 1, 2, 3, 4 advanced air. Nick 1, 2, 3, 4 himself. So nice job by Nick here to really start cranking it out. 1, 2, 3 advanced fusions. They're cloakable fusions. I don't think there's any. He's got any going on off here to the left. So Stag is still ahead in the fusion department by quite a bit. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so he's got 2 fusion teams going right now too. So he's really trying to crank this metal, turn that into fusions. Again, this advanced radar still lives. And this is what I like about Nick's play here, is that this just takes over the map. You can see with the missile towers, this isn't going to stop anything serious, but he's going to know what kind of force he's getting hit with when it gets there. So you can just see the yellow Australian blob just kind of taking over here. And it looks like he's waiting to advance with his hovers until these Zeus are in play. And that'll actually stop these warriors pretty cold. Stag, learning from last time, you can see he's got over here, he's going to prevent Nick from flanking. He's got warriors in this position. So, and Nick's just got these patrolling here. And the battle begins. We're about 20 minutes in. And it looks like Nick managed to grab more of the resources from the map. He's at 300,000 right now. And he's still got some to reclaim, whereas it looks like Stag is more or less... He's got a handful over here. But I want to say that Nick has a few more buildings left to his name. And Stag, okay, so he didn't just stop these Dragon's Teeth at the bridge. He's intending to block the hover attack from all over. Although Nick, again, he's playing this differently. It's not the same... stream of hovers. This time it is the stream of Zeus, which I have been informed is the proper nomenclature. I don't like this move by Nick here, sending these guys in to brawl with these warriors while the Zeus are back here. He's going to want these to kill the Hawks. So that seems to me to be a bit of a tactical error, because the Zeus will absolutely destroy the warriors. Again, he needs to shoot all on. That advanced radar is going to survive. It's going to be doing the dirty work. Stag sees. These guys are on the ground. Nick completely caught out. He's going to lose a whole bunch before they even get up to shoot. Although that bunch by Stag right there, that doesn't help him. But he's got, yeah, he just has too many. He says Dampmot, which I believe is Australian for... That was a great play, Stag. You can see, look at this gorgeous stream. This is all Zeus right here. Each one of them clocking in at 400 metal. So that's just where a lot of Nick's income is gone. But now he's really behind on the Hawk race. And he's now having to manage this and it looks like we've got some idle advanced cons. I don't know if he's got a fusion team going. Yeah, so he's got a fusion team here that's just not nearly as powerful as the big fusion team that you see down here. And it looks like he's got these guys set to patrol. And this is a nice way to do it when you're in a big map like this and you're trying to really seriously crank out lots of fusions, lots of mohos. It's good to just have air cons or Farks or even regular cons just patrolling, and then you just can grab one and drop what you want to build and have that get going for you. So the Zeus really pressing in. You can see, despite the fact that he has no air cover for him, very little really. They've been able to kind of press in here, and I wonder if this radar is still up here. It is. So the lack of shoot all is certainly costing Nick. Again, going to Stag's view here, you can see he sees the stream because he's got this radar up that Nick just isn't shooting down. You can see Stag's windows right here. He's controlling these hawks. Really not the best use of his time, in my opinion, because you can just kind of pull them back a little bit and have them control. Yes, they're going to dive in, but these Zeus are really tough. They just take a lot of real time to be able to bring down. Nick's got his hawk swarm. It's not going to be enough. So looks like, again, Nick capping his mohos has really been key as far as keeping him up in economy at this point, because Nick's around 300 to Stag's 320. So already, if you're playing this game and you're like, oh, I wonder if I can build as fast as you guys, get yourself on Eastside Westside, play a race against the clock. Can you be making over 300 metal by the time we hit 20 minutes? Nick using his hawks to thin down Stags, but again, just not enough. He's going to need advanced vehicle labs on this side, producing flak if he wants to be able to break through. It's going to be tough for him just to simply out-hawk him, which is what he's trying to do. Stag does not have as much space, but you can see he's still got plenty in here, although this looks like wow, he has plenty of space to build advanced air labs, but that's all covered by fusion. Aircon production has started for Stag, and it looks like Nick is doing much the same over here. I find them, your advanced aircon swarm, to be the easiest way to mass produce things. You can see Nick's using that to cap these mohos. He's probably got all these labs here just on move. This is a fire and forget kind of thing. So this isn't occupying, this is occupying hardly any of Nick's time. Whereas it's having to, it's going to be giving Stag some issues. He's actually having to react to it. So yeah, I wonder with the way Stag was building here if Nick had gone into his heavy hovers again, if it would have been as effective. Because Stag did do a little bit better job building here, I think. He's building a nice little nest of heavy laser towers, and those are doing a decent job along with the missile towers of shredding these Zeus, which are just kind of being funneled into this kill zone right now. And not a very big swarm from Nick against a current cloud, and then he's also got more back here to back it up. Nick appears to be stalling at this point, so he has cleaned up much of it. He's still got some over here he could grab that's in his area of control, and he's got some over here too, so I wonder if we'll see him take care of those. This is a juicy target. You can see the Zeus actually shooting up there from time to time. Stag pulling him back and then regrouping. That's what you want to do if you see your hawks bunch up like that, because if Nick flies in at the right time, he can really take down a ton of hawks for not too many of his own. If you want to control hawks in this way right here, what you do is you set a move command to where you want them to go, and then you wait till they fan out, and then you do your patrol. Because if you do a move after grabbing them from multiple parts of the map, they will bunch up into a single line and do that hawk racetrack thing, which they're famous for, which can be useful if there's not much anti-air or they don't have a big force of their own hawks to fight you with. But when you're looking to make sure your hawks stay alive for a longer period of time, you want them spread out. So you can see right as they hit the apex of their turn, Nick's Zeus are shooting at them. That's why you see some of the hawks going down there. You can see Stag's got his flak production going. This is going to be pretty key. And this, again, is what Nick needs on this side of the map if he actually wants to be able to break in. That or Berthas. A lot of Berthas. No Berthas from Stag himself, though. Just loads of missile towers, lots of flak in the back here, covering his incredibly important assets. I wonder if we can actually see if there's an anti-nuke up. And it does not look like it. So no anti from Stag. So this is really vulnerable back here right now. But I don't think Nick is interested in making it rain with nuclear fire. I don't see any evidence of that. Lots of vital cons here. Nick trying to stay on top of it. You got a traffic jam here. It might help him to self-destruct or reclaim some of these. It's part of the reason why they're going in this stream, is because he can only get through here one or two at a time. So if he clears these out, he can actually get a wider path of Zeus to go through It looks like he's changing the angle of attack at this point. The other thing, too, is by jamming him up with all this wreckage, it really kind of closes in Stag's build space. You can see Nick, he's still got this entire side of the map that he could be working with. And yeah, you can see just way more fusions. Nick getting his anti up. Way more fusions from Stag. So remember, Nick had that lead last time we checked. And he's still got it big time. So again, staying ahead just because he's got these, he's got the reclaim. So although again at 400 a pop, a lot more of Nick's metal is being poured into units, which really aren't being that effective right now against these Hawks. Still got these radar guys just flying in these gaps right here. Again, just Hawks from Nick here. Looks like he just wants to catch up in the Hawk game. And it looks like, yeah, he's already sent his little cloud in, so he's just not keeping up because, you know, Stag's not risking his Hawks. He's not sending them out over anything severe, you know, tangling with any anti-air. Whereas Nick is coming in trying to thin this Hawk swarm, and it's costing him. So Stag getting himself a little more space here. Remember these, where was it? Was it right over here? Yeah, we got these HLTs here, and they must have been the ones... Oh yeah, here we go. So remember before he had these missile towers here, these HLTs here. So when Nick was all the way down into here, and now you can see Stag has now created that space using the Hawks. He's got that radar up. This one still lives, so making it quite useful for him. And even though Nick doesn't have Hawk superiority, it's really just a good move from Stag here to include the phalanx in it. I'll really guarantee that, you know, should he lose his Hawks for some reason, he's going to have some cover on the ground. So, I presume there's plenty in the flak in the back here. Not much by way of flak for Nick. Okay, there you go. He's got a few. On a map like this, when you know you're going to be playing on the Hawk racetrack, flaks are pretty important. Great job by Nick here. He's got his advanced sea resources going. You can see here he's got these newfangled underwater mohos, cranking out more resources for him too. Looks like Stag's close to about 600, Nick on 525, Nick with the additional reclaim. Although all of these, each one of these is 320 metal, these Z-Rex. So it wouldn't be too hard for Stag just to come on up here. He's got this territory and clean it up. Just a little bit of lag. Nice move by Nick here. He seems to have picked up where he could get in and really thin Stag's Hawks down. So you can see, even though Stag had additional Hawks to bring in down here, he didn't do it. He didn't grab them, bring it in, because that would have caused his current Hawks that he was fighting with to bunch up. So you kind of have to finish the fight you're working on. By thinning the Hawks down, now these Z's can make it quite a bit further than they could before. There you go. You can see Nick has cleared out these missile towers right here, and so now we have a fatter group of Z's going by. So yeah, these underwater fusions is going to be a nice help. This is plenty of build power here. I don't know if he's actually come on this side. It looks like he has. Yep, he's got a advancement here that's capping these. So just really keeping his moho game going. He's capping these right here. Really just a good, efficient use of the territory that he claimed early using the missile towers. And Stag really didn't contest for it. Stag was very focused on building down here. He has his anti-up, so that vulnerability has been eliminated. He's got a couple. Nick has one anti right there. I do not see any indication that there will be white-hot nuclear fire anytime soon. And you kind of see here, Stag was, again, Nick was previously pushed down into here. You can see Stag slowly driving outwards against the forces that are coming this way. Nick looks like he sees an opportunity. These guys are bunched up back here. That's not a good position for the Hawks. So he comes in. And there you can see there's this phalanx coming in. So even though Nick has position right here, He's able to actually mostly wipe a lot of Stag's Hawks. That Phalanx was just chewing him up. You can actually see here what it ended up doing. Picked up 7 kills right there, plus a lot of splash damage that the rest of the Hawks were able to finish off. So Nick probably feels pretty good. He actually managed to win the Hawk fight here. Stag has kind of slowed down his Hawk production relative to Nick, who just keeps getting bigger and bigger. He's mass producing Hawk Labs. And at this point in the game, you're like, oh, he's just got to turn these on. It's actually really hard to come down and be like, oh, what am I gonna do? Just a big boom right there. I actually don't know what that was. Probably some Hawks going down. I don't believe there was a nuke or anything like that. Nope. This is an interesting move by Stag. I actually like these when you're trying to maintain, if you have less Hawk production and you're trying to maintain kind of Hawk superiority. He turns these on, these guys are going to go reclaim. And so I think that's probably a decent move. The downside is if you want to grab all your Hawks, if you have them set to a group, the ones that are back here, because they're in a different position, they're not in formation, they're going to cause the ones up front to bunch up when you bring them back in. So that's a weakness of doing that. So, oh, that self-destruct is probably Nick self-destructing some cons. Yeah, Nick was at max units, so he just was self-destructing some of his unused construction guys. And that certainly makes sense. He also is going to need to just delete these wins and some of these missile towers and replace them with flaks. So unit cap is definitely not helping. It's one of those things, like, it would be awesome if we could have a higher unit cap. It's just the game really won't allow. If you're trying to do a multiplayer game and you have it set beyond 1500, you know, you're trying to do an 8-player game, the game will just crash. Which is most unfortunate, because you hate to see, like, oh, well, it was the unit cap that was holding Nick back in his relentless assault here. And I think Nick has gotten ahead in the resource battle at this point, and that all just comes from, again, taking advantage of the map. Each one of those mohos is producing at least 6 metal. Oh, at least like 4 or 5, and then the best ones are producing 6. And he's got a ton of them. So, you know, think of 2 of these as like equivalent to a fusion. These Hawks are in a bit of a vulnerable position when you kind of levitate them like this, but this is, you can see they're perfect little missile towers. So, more self-destruction of what appears to be cons. Nick putting that on this side of the map, I don't know if I necessarily like that. It looks like he's actually planning on grouping up here for a big push. Stag surviving now on the wrecks of the Z's. Plenty of air cons coming in here and grabbing these. That's the right call. You see he's even got some advanced air cons patrolling at the front there. I think he probably just, that's part of the patrol route he has set up. Here we go. So lots of ways to keep his birds in better shape. So when they get damaged, you know, if they're on a patrol route, then they'll fly back to go get fixed. Nick over 500 metal at this point. It looks like Stag is now... Stag at 684. So Stag is ahead, I believe, in production. Yep. Nick still has some buildings to grab, though. So again, Nick about 200K. But a lot of it is just in dead Z's. You know, and shooting over these wrecks, yeah, bulldogs and phalanxes would definitely come in handy. Just those heavier units. Nick sneaking in some hovers in the back. Stag sees it and he brings in his Hawks to clean it up. He doesn't want Nick to realize that there's any kind of weakness. Stag flying in. Looks like he wants to fight here. Nick sees it, and they're going to be trading off Hawks. Looks like Stag might have the lead here. Stag backs off, drawing Nick further back in. I don't know if he has any flak back here to draw him into. You know, it looks like they basically go even here. So the only downside now is Stag does not have enough Hawks to really control this gap. So this is a big push by Nick. Nick, you can see he's bringing in additional Hawks to try and help continue to cover. Stag just not enough Zeus, and then here come the HLTs. This is a lot of firepower right in this one area here. This leads east right here. We're hitting the Sentinels, finding the air facilities. Now the wrecks are starting to pile up, and that's to Stag's advantage. Nick flying in. Stag regrouping his own Hawks, trying to chase Nick's back. He doesn't want these Zeus to be in here supported by Hawks. That just little break, you can see these Zeus managed to find a way through at that point and break through. And you can see this thing has been helping out a little bit. Again, doing that splash damage. You can never underestimate how important that is. Stag spent the time to build these, and Nick just, with some marching Zeus, managed to take them out. Again, I don't think they're hitting the factory because he does not have... I don't know if he has shootall on. Still. Although the unit being produced in the factory attracts the attention of the Zeus, so that's why they're able to take that one out. See, does he still... Yep, he still has some fusion teams going back here. Again, Nick still has fusion teams going, building plenty of fun fusions. And just so many Hawk Labs. Let's see, does he finally have some phalanxes going? Yep, here they go. So now we're going to have some phalanxes coming in, and that's really going to help Nick. He needed that, I think, a long time ago. And again, if it were me, I'd say let's get a fire base going here. Get your flak, get your Berthas, give him something to do where he has to come out of this corner. Because right now, Stag's pretty happy in this corner. He's now surrounded by Dragon's Teeth and Rex. You can see on all sides. So now he can sit and rely on the fact that he went pure fusion from the beginning, and if he is ahead of Nick in general production, he's going to be able to stay on top of it. Again, Nick having the weakness of the unit cap because of how he built, and he is more spread out. So this is really poorly protected. So if Stag sees that, you can see he can take out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're talking about 2 fusions worth of metal right there. Nick continuing to cap, though, and expand his natural resource production. Not just relying on fusions. One building there. Let's see if there's a few. Yeah, there's still just a few left. And as you're playing this, like, it's hard as a player to be like, oh, I need to go focus and see what, are there any buildings I missed? Because this would be very, very nice inside Nick's bank. So, and Stag could even see, too. You could take a peek over and be like, oh, there's still a handful of buildings that I could snag. And he still has this thing right here to let him know that there's really not that much over there by way of defense. Nick rallying his Farks down here. This is where, yeah, Nick needs bombers. He needs something else that's going to help him get and break in. Or he needs to open a new front. Just absolute non-stop Zeus and Zeus action. I'm a little surprised Nick hasn't kind of moved. Oh, there he is. So he's got some anti-air facing this side that'll help protect. Just hooked flackers. No Berthas yet from Stag, which does surprise me a little bit. And here he goes, using this halo of advanced cons to just instantly spit out more fusions. Again, he's really, really tight down here, though. Just everything's packed in. It's very, very vulnerable. You know, I do prefer to be spread out. I mean, it's not vulnerable. It's vulnerable in that if he loses one, it does a lot of damage. You know, like this right here, bombing run here really will slow him down. But it takes a lot of time. Especially if you're doing this right here. Nick is busy controlling his Hawks right now. Again, I just don't think he's going to be able to march through with his Zeus through this wreck field. effectively. You can see these HLTs are just moving up into the rec field. There you go. Nick draws him out over his own phalanxes, where they're able to go and do a decent amount here. 6 for that guy right there, 1 there. So phalanxes are pretty lousy against these, though. But really, it's hard to control them and group them up in such a way that they don't move with your units if you need them to stay close enough. Otherwise, they're not really doing any good. Stag's got his own infinite wave of warriors going here. So this is like the first sign of a counterattack from Stag. He's just been playing completely defensive the entire time. No marking for Nick here. That is a little surprising that he's not saying, okay, these have here. But again, that might just go down to the fact that Nick's really not planning on doing much by way of any kind of strategic attack, either bombing or nuking or anything like that. I spoke too soon. Here's a nuke. That is 1 nuke. That is not enough nukes. And I'm not seeing a lot of the big... He's got T1 aircons, but I'm not seeing a ton of T2 build power going on here. Nick a little more spread out. He's got a patch of fusions over here, and he's got a bunch in the back. Looks like you can see he's now reclaiming his wins. He wants to make space for fusions, plus he wants the unit cap. Nick's still sitting around 1,300 units, so after he did that giant con detonation, he's been in decent shape. Stag sending Stumpies in, building more of his own counterattack forces right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 advanced K-Bot labs for Zeus production. Nick's still ahead by about 200,000, but that was the same distance that he was ahead last time. So really all that shows is that he is keeping pace at this point. So, and that's where you can see Stag finally breaking out with this little counter right here. He's got some Zeus moving in. Nick has a massive force. There are no wrecks here, so you can see that's where he's marching. But again, this radar was left alive. Stag completely knows where this is coming. That's why he's able to redirect these forces over here. Still saying on the attack up here, Nick is going to have to respond with his Hawks on those, I think. Nick coming in with his Hawks. I don't know if there's flak down here. Massive Hawk swarm from Stag. Try and count up the labs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all Hawk guarded, or all Fart guarded. Stag going on the offensive here with the Hawks, and this is going to hurt. This is, again, the issue with being spread out here and poorly defended, is that, again, he gets these free resources to take down that, and Nick's really not doing the same thing down here. You know, this is opening up another front, but to what end? Stag's really not very soft in that spot. These are spread out enough, and they're taking up a full screen worth so as to not really get taken out too much by the flak. I don't know if there's enough flak inside this group right here. It doesn't look like it for them to really be safe from just the overwhelming number of Hawks. You see Nick regrouping kind of at a midpoint from his new ones and his old ones, so now he's reinforced. And you can see Stag still outnumbers him in the Hawk department. Yeah, these guys are a little too far behind to be really effective to save this group right here. Again, this is just mowing into missile towers. There's really nothing to kill down here. So I do like that, you know, compared to last game, again, this is very similar with Stag being kind of boxed in a corner and playing the defensive. But his radar coverage was good. He did get a little help from Nick there because Nick didn't have his shoot-all on. And so now he's able to slowly spread out. Nick just now is scouting. with his remaining vamps. I mean, marked one anti. He didn't get the second one here. There are a ton of anti-nukes in there. Nick coming in, claiming these big buildings now that he created the beachhead there. But again, he just lost all of this kind of territory that was generally under his control. And you can see Stag making a move forward now. It's basically pushed him back on this side of the river. And this bridge is going to end up being a massive choke point. You can see this wreckage right here now is just really slowing down Nick's progress. One nuke. And just the one. Alright, we'll speed this up just a little bit since we've got a lot going here. And I think Stag might even be hitting unit limit at this point. And when you hit unit limit and you got a ton of Hawks, usually you attack with them. There he goes. Yep, Stag at 1,500 units, so he's got a big unit limit thing going on right now. And so he's just flying his Hawks all over the place. And you can see there's just so many of them. They're even wiping down the flags that were designed to kind of stop them. Just completely carved out this middle section. He's basically replacing them as fast as he's losing them at this point. That is just a nearly unstoppable cloud of Hawks. Flying in on the offensive, and that was just a lot of Nick's metal production too. And this really isn't a danger for Stag. He doesn't need to worry about it. Although Nick does have this. This is nice. That's something that Stag doesn't. It looks like he's coming back. He might just be setting to patrol and then have them fix up for their next run. They most likely took a decent amount of splash damage. Yep, you can see a bunch of red Hawks in here. So he's like, all right, we'll keep him alive. Not sure exactly why. He is at the... You can see he's maxed out on metal right now. He is at the... Not quite. It says 15. He's at 1,500. So he's very nearly there, though. Yep, there he goes. So he's sending them back here, and you can see they're going down. They're getting fixed up. So it's like taking a red Hawk and turning that into a green one. It's like getting a new one for next to nothing. So nice use of the air repair pads. They're in ProTA. They're much cheaper than they were in OTA. And in OTA, they were just kind of buggy. They weren't the greatest. So Nick kind of pushing into this new little front that he's opened up. He did get this building, but now Stag's responding with Pels. And Nick does not have much to stop them. So, and looks like all of his new Zeus factories have come online, so he is now returning the favor that Nick sent him earlier with a massive swarm of Zeus. And here come the Hawks. You see at this point Stag has caught back up with Nick in metal production, and which really means he's ahead. This is nice. You get them nice and tight, so that way they're not going to all get completely broken down. Loads of flak, but loads more Hawks. Cleans this up. This guy's not gonna make it. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. They're coming in, trying to thin. I don't necessarily like trying to thin the swarm over when you're not over your own AA, especially when you're outnumbered like that. Like, fight over these guys is where you want it. Nick says, F it. Says his Hawk UC is terrible. Yes, Nick, that was correct. That was not good. Hawk UC. So here he goes. Now, these air pits, the Hawks will always target the air units first. He does want to knock out the cons. That's a big win for him. See what else he can find. Just tons of flak here. All those hawks evaporated in almost an instant. And that's it right there. There you go. We went from 1,400 units down to 1,200. That was nearly 250 hawks that you just got watched evaporated in a matter of seconds because of this tightly bunched flak that's right here. So I gotta see what that did. 2, 1, 7, 9, 2. What does this one say? 5, 3, 4, 5, 9. Yeah, so each of them picking up like 10 apiece. Well, I guess 5 to 10 apiece. I don't see any serious markings from Stag 2, although maybe he did mark the nuke, so he does see that that's there. Stag does like to go T2 bombers. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing some of those. But really, Nick's under a ton of pressure here from the south, and he does not have the same kind of HLT missile tower wall that that Stag had. This is, you can basically say, okay, well, this is protected. You know, you got flak and you got Zeus in there. That's not going anywhere. And you can see that's part of the reason why it looks like, yeah, Stag switched some of these into making Pels, so that way he could come put pressure on other parts of the map. Nick looks like he's still right around 500 metal. Stag is in the 700 range. So, still keeping pace. But again, a lot of Nick's metal was coming from these metal patches that he no longer controls. And so now it looks like our positions have basically flipped. Stag now controlling the majority, Nick kind of crammed into a corner. Although, again, like I said, he doesn't have just the wreck walls that Stag did to protect him. Unbelievable perseverance from Stag there just to be able to withstand the withering storm of Zeus. And again, I think if Nick had been a little more patient with his approach there, he would have been able to you know, get a fire base set up and either build up a giant ball of units and get the flakkers in position, or have a fire base. But at this point, we've moved from Nick looking like he's in control to Stag just taking over. Nick's stalling at this point. He's got way too much production and not enough metal coming in. He no longer has any wrecks that he's cleaning up either. This one's still on the ground. He could desperately use some more wreckage. See, he's hastily building some flakkers down here to the south. Pels are building up over here, though. And I don't know if Nick, again, if you forgot his shoot-all, Nick has absolutely no radar. So he has no idea these guys are coming. And this thing is like he's very much was counting on his offense essentially being the controlling factor in the game. So these Pels show up, essentially a complete surprise. But they will get evaporated by this cloud of hawks pretty quickly. The hawks will handle these missile towers. He needs slack up here. Okay, so you can see Stag's up here. He sees... He's being a little more cautious in that Flymo, and he's doing a little scouting. The hawks clean up the Pelicans, but again, that's time that Nick had to spend doing that. Some snipery boys, shooters. And here it is. Nick thinks he's protected, but there is now a Vulcan on his front door. Nick will know exactly what that is. Nick does have I don't think he has an anti up here, so he could nuke this thing. Although I don't know if Stag can actually hit it with his Vulcan knife. Nick scouting back, it looks like. Don't know if he made it. There's a Bertha there. Now 2 Vulcans. Absolutely shredding. And the nuke goes down before Nick can get it off. That might have been his best shot at taking care of these things. I think he's just got too much flak, so he's got these flak sitting right in here. Nick has enough Hawks to come in here, do a surgical strike, and take these guys out. But this is just, you can see just 30 seconds of a Vulcan operating in your front door means your front door is getting blown open. So better than a battering ram. Complete mayhem here. Nick's coming in. They'll take care of him. Lots of flag there. Down they go. Look at how these guys did. 3 and 5, not bad. Still a single BB here. And that was a lot of Nick's Zeus production too. So now Stag's knocking on the front door, coming over on his bridge. And it looks like another Vulcan is going down from Stag. He's got the metal, you might as well spend it. Nick can't afford to keep sending all of his Hawks in to kill Vulcans. Nick trying to knock in down here, but unfortunately, this is the Dragon Teeth are actually going to come into play here. And the Vulcan's up again. What you're seeing there, that's a little bit lagged of the shots. This is what it actually normally looks like right here. See, it's just been up for a little bit, already on 8 kills. Nick sees it. So he's just, when you're trying to find these things, you just follow the stream. Oh, but he's flying the wrong way, right over these flackers. He's going to the same spot. There's a second one. This one's back up and running. That makes sense. But he did not get it. Just too many flackers. The Vulcan survives. This one's got 3 kills right now. 28 kills already. Just completely tearing a hole through Nick's base. And the Zeus army pours over the bridge. And they're loosed upon Nick's hapless civilians, basically. These Sparks are helpless to defend themselves against the hordes of lightning-y boys. Got some Panthers coming up. Those are not going to be tough enough for the Zeus. And definitely not tough enough for, well, Vulcans. Seeing like how things are shaking out right here. You can see just this hole carved from the Vulcans. Nick manages to break through in the south right here. Hoping for a base trade. I think Stag's just going to have too many Hawks. He's got the phalanxes with it. These guys are a little weak. They're doing the work. 21 kills for this one, 10 for there. But it's just going to be too little too late. So these fusions are dead that Nick had in here, you can see completely toasted. And the Vulcans have just carved a little hole into Nick's base. You can see how this one's doing. 62 kills. 48 kills. So this is how powerful the Zeus are when they're backed up with the phalanx. You can see he's just pushing past these defenses here, driving in. Again, though, that's just defense line number 1 is here, number 2 is here. More HLTs that he's got to break through. You can see kind of the opposite thing going on this side of the map. Nick's got some bombers. He wants to bomb some Vulcans. These Vulcans are going to be so accurate soon they're going to be knocking these bombers out of the sky. Is that another one up? Just lots of BBs at this point, so. BBs in their general, you know, it's better to build 7 Big Berthas than it is to build 1 Vulcan. Because just from a metal efficiency standpoint, and then the difficulty of killing. When you're in this kind of situation, though, when you have more metal than you can spend, you're up against a unit limp, throw it on a Vulcan, why not? It's a high priority target. It'll do a ton of damage even if it's up for just a minute. Especially if you're core and you have a Necro, and you can resurrect them. Like this right there, just resurrect that. That's a brand new Vulcan. Nick's attack has petered out. You can see we just carved one little salient in here, but it wasn't enough to make it happen. It looks like Nick is sending his Hawks down. He wants to try and find a commander. Nick's commander himself, where's he at? Yeah, so you can see he knows his base is getting eaten up. Hawks off screen off the bottom. Nick reclaiming, must just set these guys down here to patrol it. And here comes the last gasp of hope for Nick, flying into what is a nearly insurmountable amount of anti-air. Stag responding in the right way, he's getting his Hawks on there. That way, even if Nick does manage to spy the commander, if he blinks, he's just going to have the secondary missile of the Hawks is always going to go for the air first, and so he's not going to be able to see it. So that is that. He's got torp bombers in case Stag's in the water, which Stag is not in the water. So torp bombers aren't going to do anything. Just dropping bombs at this point, seeing how far he can get. That was a lousy run. Is Nick's calm in the water? Where's he at? Oh, yep, there he is. Nick hiding in the water, going for a swim. So yeah, he was hoping that Stag is doing the same thing down here. You can see if he's not. Nick says GG, increases the speed, and surrenders. So excellent game, guys. What a marathon. 1 hour, just over 1 hour. Stag just holding in, playing completely defensive here. And again, it was Nick really just not adapting his strategy to how Stag was playing. Stag building up that porky defense, just waiting for the opportunity to counterattack and break out. And he was able to do it. And Nick didn't have the radar, didn't have the defenses to be able to see it or get ready for it. So here's the final resources you can check out right here. Metal. Stag doing the out-producing here. A ton of excess. It looks like 122,000 in excess, but that is more than the difference between the two. And again, a lot of Nick's metal production ended up being wreckage field right in front of Stag's base and a nice enclosure, kind of an extra thick dragon's tooth wall for him to break through. So excellent games, guys. Nice little series for us to take a look at how players are adapt to different play styles, make changes mid-game. So certainly something instructive. I just realized this is like, of the ProTA games that I've done, I want to say this is like the fourth, fifth, or maybe even sixth one in a row that features Nick. So thank you, Nick, for producing high-quality content for my channel. I appreciate what you do for me and for Total Annihilation in general. So good game, guys. Make sure, if you have not already, to hit that subscribe button. Hit the like as well. If you have any comments or questions, anything you think I missed, leave that down in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to respond. I've got another game I want to cast coming up that should be pretty exciting, and then also I want to make sure there's a tournament coming up too. I want to try and get a few of those games in for you guys when I get the opportunity. So when time allows. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for swinging by. You all take care now. Bye-bye.